wetu kana mutaaramu wetu urokomba kuthwa agitutara mantu jegie stress. Stress, yes, stress inyada imbi jomba kuthwa ina stress na kira giuthmo wata stress mimbi gintu kuruga aidha gia tungo kagieteka utijimbi ukaruga kairi uko watu stress. So stress ichamithembe mingi sana na ntukwije narwa mutaramu wetu akithwa agitutara mantu jegie stress na akithra agitwira stress imbio mantu jejeu nebije tukoba kuthwa twigite duka Antoine nekija kuthora itwiri turi akometwa Gloria Mwirigi na ndene ya studio chetu twina mutaramu wetu nkamwakanya agukethi akwire marito jawe kenda ujagwata kumakiriwe na kumutu koba kuthwa tugitana mbere. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Mudhikiria wa MERU TV muga betagwa Lucy Mundia na ningenete kwithirwa ndia umundi. Thank you Mundia. Thank you sana Lucy. Reithirio mwego wa MERU TV tuthite na Lucy Mundia ajojo ingwetikia last week no bakuthwa agitutara bobo nene sana na ntukuje narwa ndingi enda gukoromba omunenkire matojaku ndareke nkaitu ketha tore amwe nikenda ko bakuthwa agitutara kiro ntu bobo ita stress nonto stress ichitumite antu bakathithia mantu jate kwerekana na bakangaratana motorene. Okay, Lucy. Yes.
Tukiambiria turengenda otwira by this stress ina ritora kimeru. Stress igutanganwa Mathuganio ikuthangika Mathuganio kwithwa wina Mathuganio ndigire bakuthwa gitwira stress imbi.
Thank you. Ntekomea kiwa kida kiega gia kimeru tungitumira ku define stress lakini ni ile hali ya kwithwa ugitangika utena thayo thiri utena thayo na kwithwa te at ease.
Yeah. All right.
Kogu stress ni feeling, so it is a feeling in the head, in the mind, but it affects everything about you.
You know stress.
Stress can be defined the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with the mental or emotional pressure. Kiontu gia kwigua te komba go cope na mauntu mara mari meciriani maku kana mutorireni waku ne magukorema gukopu namo otekomba kurutha bure kwiciria no batie kurutha otekomba gukinyira goal ero kwiciria no batie gukinyira ni stress. Definition engia stress no tuge, and I think I love this one. It is the gap between demand and capacity. Kwena gap katika untu bure kwenda kurutha na untu bure kuomba kurutha. Kuna gap kati ya uwezo wako na jambo lenye unataka kufanya. Gap ino no etherwe ni kwenda kurutha giontu na ntina mbese cha kurutha untu bu hiyo gap ni stress. No etherwe nde kurega untu kwenda kurutha lakini nte kuomba sina uwezo physically or mentally ni stress. No whether kwenda giontu kwenda kurutha na ntina the time is limited ntina yo ya kuigana ni stress. No kwethira kona ngiontu kwenda kurutha na ngi kwenda human resource anto bago ntaidia kurutha untu bu na they are not there, they are not available. Ni stress. No kwethira kiri giontu kwenda kurutha na ntina space ya kurutha giontu kiu. So the gap between demand and capacity. What I need to do and my capacity to do it. Hiyo gap ndio stress.
Okay, ni tutuga wantu baba ingi bakiuga wamba stress. Na yaka ana no gagwere acha kuni stress. Okay, psychological science. Ile omba gotego kwa mtuju na stress ni riko.
Thank you sir. Stress ile categories nyingi togu my colleague yauga psychological. Psychological ni untu concerning the mind.
Mathuganio.
Ukenda kumenya wina stress na leto gukwira sense ya stress tekenda wana muntu njirani ukamwira ukauga uyu akona stress nikenda omba kuyassess we mwene kenda omba gutura muturire waku wina thayo
Tuko tagala bena chini tunomete ora mtu ethera kariena
kithomo giki bati guguteithia we mwene ku understand nonto inde muno tethira tuna stress na tutikumenya no katukona tumondu tuki happen koguo ndenda on the outset kuga tutikwenda kuthoma signs of stress kenda tuomba ku assess colleagues kana family it is also good but the critical thing omba ku assess we mwene kenda omba kwithira uri sawa kenda omba guteithia the rest of the people. Psychological stress, number one, difficulty concentrating. Turaria muntu ma stress management, performance management. Stress no ethira na muntu munene ona mwana, ethira ni mwana kirathini, ukethira ati kumba go concentrate. Ano ethira ni muntu munene ukethira ati kumba go concentrate, ukethira for example rokirire waruga chai wanywa chai nusu ukinariganirwa daisi yengi ugeuka ukethira kumbe hata sikumaliza chai.
No, unataka kuniambia hata hiyo ni stress.
Hiyo ni sign ya stress. Then demand ya amount mara kwenda kurodha na capacity.
Najua ni vile nimejipata nimefanya hivyo severally.
Leo ndaga difficulty concentrating muntu naishiria miani kirathini mwana ati komba concentrate. Lakini performance ni kirathini mwana obishi waka mugondani waku fama kana njeku mwekoro kana mukuru husband wife anybody can
umurethire kwa MERU TV no kuona bonde baraba nyunya chaiba gatiga nusu ugeto gekire ngikairi watige nyewe ingi nusu iyo isign so teninka
utekomba go concentrate on what you should do. Yes,
all right,
that is one of them. The other one is worrying. Kada every time muntu ni ntiko me worrying MERU exactly ndi ugoya gukira ukari every time worrying and anxiety maunto mako makabua huyu mtoto atasoma huyu atamaliza shule worrying a lot ni a sign of stress. Muntu atena stress ona gichallenge gikinauka tero risoba ni umba gwiciria the way forward teko worry utumba ko worry one day one week unless we na stress. Worrying ni mean the demand ya kuku react to a situation na capacity kwena gap. So kwena gap kore ni utigaretie. And another one is trouble remembering. Inde mwene toriganagirwa ni mauntu muno
ukagwata gachoka mbidio gacho
kana sabisia ngari ugaishwa gogo etenjarani trouble remembering inde mwe tugaga ni age lakini ni it can be a sign of stress. Kedra no kuriganirwa muno ni it's human kuriganirwa lakini ukinadhara this is not vile nilikuwa saini nasahau sana nkanenkanira appointment kariganirwa nkaiga gintwa ngagishwa forever gitikuoneka ni another sign of stress. A psychological sign of stress.
Okay, tuge spiritual spiritual to pori tata.
Spiritual ni kwenda muno kiroho.
Kiroho mtu ina stress akarate.
Kiro I think basically for me and I stand to be okay. That is an opinion. Spirituality is the mother of everything. Mauntu mara ma kiro ni mo determinaga a lot of other things. Kanza kikiuria gyaku spiritual one of the spiritual signs of stress is apathy. Apathy ni a lack of interest towards anything. Okay, the muntu atena interest na anything. Loss of meaning. Okay, the muntu atena meaning na maisha.
Atena interest na anything,
anything. Especially muntu, for example, raro daga to maunto okay, there atena interest. Muntu rare very keen. Okay, there atena very keen. That is a state of carefree. I don't want to say they don't care, but nothing matters whether things go good or bad. Matego care.
Oh, ije babu gai bagerere maisha kuru. Muraithirio mwagwa MERU TV maybe uraigwa some of your relatives bakiugi bagerere maisha kuru no menye nandi ewi sign ya stress no komba kuthwo kimenyoro komba kuthwo kibatetheria.
The other one ni a feeling of emptiness. Okay, dagira nkoroni yako no kwigore ori very empty and ngotekia netukwere wa emptiness
yani kugwa Yendi kuigwa
Sasa maisha matena meaning.
Yatina mochemo. Yendi you are just empty, you are just there.
Yes, empty and forgiving. It's a spiritual sign of stress.
Kwedro
terekanagira nonto when you are not stressed as a human being, nomba kwere ware to forgive. By the way, ga forgive ukendeda ku hurt na bando te forgive ko the stress effect ikatuka even more acute. When ukethera muntu te komba ku forgive and that is a spiritual sign of stress. Muntu kwedro na doubt gweto shita kwankanja utegento na utena faith utena gento ni doubt na kyo when you go uteshu ogasoka whether ni business uteshu okona interest whether ni kuromba as a Christian you pray uteshu answer gauka.
So ndio maana wengi aombangi because you are not sure whether there is anyone to answer you.
Kuna doubt. Another one is guilt. Always that feeling of guilt is a sign of stress.
Guilt.
Yes. Guilt ni kuigwa te or condemned. Ta obitrate ya muntu that ka feeling. Ukena kigwa continuous. It is normal for a human being to be guilty or deta makosa. But you don't live in that guilt.
Alright.
Ukethera ni warudira gionto myaka 10 methiru. Orende every time no keririkana otekomba go release. That is a sign of spiritual sign of stress na despair, ko give up, kukosa tumaini. Wetherwa utegweciria mauntu maroyo asini maisha tu iko leo. And that is why a lot of people who are stressed, they go to drugs because it doesn't matter whether they live or not, whether life is good, matina hope. That is despair. It's a spiritual sign of stress.
Okay, socially no kudho ukimenya mtu wina stress?
Socially, yes. Socially, yes. Menya whatever happens inside, mauntu mara happen agadhinwa miturire to dhinwa meshiria nkoro, dhinwa our feelings ma manifestaga physically in the physical world. Muntu na stress, akethero na less intimacy na antu. Okethagira muntu nenda gwikarari wenka. Ni akwe isolate, especially kole antumari personality yao they like staying alone a lot of times. Lakini ukethagira muntu rali very social urekaranigia muno na antu sande nenda kwambiria kwe isolate na antu. That is a sign of a social sign of stress, loneliness. Ironically, muntu ana stress isolate na antu. Of course that will lead to loneliness.
Of course akarawenka.
But onaigwale lonely atidi go show company yantu. That is why the stress becomes very harmful to them. And then there's less intimacy nanto. On a family kwa na husband na tena shughuli na wife.
Kana kuna family gatherings what attend.
Kwe isolate.
Kedrari busy that time.
Atena issues na anabae. Atiku na time na antu church. Family problems. Family problems are a social sign of stress. Problem between husband and wife. Problem between father and children. Mother and children. Sometimes, a lot of times, it is a sign of stress. Non psychology, you are hurting people hurt others. People hurt you because they are hurting. If a father is hurting, he will hurt the mother. If the father is hurting, he will hurt the children. If the children are hurting, they will hurt the parents. That is how the family problems come in when there is stress, and that is a social sign of stress.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how about tuseme physically? No otege mtu uju yeni oguga mtu kuringana no kara physically. Mtu ena nuko me murethirio mwego wa MERU TV ndiuria matuju kendo bakutho kimenya kithago wina stress no menye kinyete ariko kitha socially wina stress, spiritually wina stress, psychologically, physically no bakutho kimenya ngachi andu watia. So physically murethirio mwega no bekutho agitega physically akamenya kithara ne thirite na stress mutorene.
Thank you. Physical science ni science ile yapenaga thini wa mwire te thini wa meciria te thini wa social na spiritual thini wa mwire. Number 1 kwina medical issues like high blood pressure. When high blood pressure is a sign of a physical sign of stress. Na like I said, the into ikureto ni stress no iretwo ni mauntu mangi koguo tutikaona everybody with high blood pressure tukago uyu akona
stress itumite
kuri antu magicaga high blood pressure hereditary family yao iko hivyo kana diet kana lifestyle but also stress ni iretaga high blood pressure changes in weight weight muntu ana stress weight ni changeagia and a lot of times tushirikia muntu lose weight muntu anyanyia ni rewe na stress but it can be either way
nyano anene
yes muntu no anene it is change whether downwards or upwards depending on your personality kole antu mena stress they eat a lot maona consolation in eating kogu weight ikongerereka automatically kole antu mena stress weight I mean appetite inaenda chini kabisa na mange appetite inaenda juu kabisa so tekona ya mtu ni muslimu kauga unune na stress na mwingine akona weight hata huyo ako sawa hapana it is change whether kunene kana kunyia frequent colds and or infections homa kila wakati na to infection kila wakati this is because
tu anchoma
nchoma korora
aya wetiga na abwe
yes no to the other stress it affects your immunity stress ni affect our body immunity kwa hivyo sasa a few small things
lakini tere on the
I started by saying science sheer stress no ireto ni other things kwa hivyo it's not every time that mtu akona homa hiyo ni stress hapana but actually kutege into onkidisipitado kwa kandina stress ni the effects whether we na cold unatreatwa for cold lakini whether stress bound itathira cold igacoka ringi lakini unatuishe continue ni other things yes like ata baridi ata dust sasa si ati wholesale
all right imbingi ubakutega physically ukuga mtuju
na basically ni you changes in menstrual cycle for ladies
hiyo ni vizuri wajue
changes in menstrual cycle and I have a friend of mine who lost a very close friend na aliniambia alipata nini the whole month so changes either this way or this way
it is either is chikaura bruka na kuja chijite
yes
ni sign of stress
it is a sign of stress acute stress
right
yeah
now tuge for example muraidirio mwega wa MERU TV akone na mantu jojonde tu kidogo tu emotionally tuge for example kuigwe na physically nayo socially nayo spiritually nayo na kwena gintu kingi maybe kithero kirio omba kwithwa akienda kumenya tuge for example emotionally maybe uri akwariria twana twawe uri akwariria mukuru uri akwariria ngugine no emotionally no to ke affected stress
no actually to get stress is a feeling and feeling is an emotion kwa hivyo sometimes emotional kuna emotional signs anagote na emotional signs stress ni developaga to some kind of emotions because people react differently yes number one kukasirika kidogo tu yani tunasema your nerves are on end kitu kidogo tu unaona mtu amekasirika kana kudhura wega tena sababu mbege ya kudhura muntu akatuka
okay muretherio mwega ugo turaithirite orinja no kugwata mwekuro kutekena thini nyeri kukaneriku maybe it was stress ni unto ekuru muno ibo bariata na kudhura otheri
kutuka irritated and very irritable again a little thing you lose your temper you lose your cool kutuka moody that is an emotional sign of stress
to either
you are so down
when we don't understand you
leo tukwaria 1 minute wega next minute tukiona na uniongeleshi so I'm like what happened in between na frustration that feeling of kutika frustrated you are frustrated with your children with your husband with your work you are frustrated about everything that is an emotional sign of stress you already took frustrated into the sangap between what you want to do and what you want to achieve and your capacity to do it so there is that feeling of frustration yes
all right okay tukithira thikairia ndingenda utwira apart from emotionally kwina uromba ku react behavior chiaku urothithia mantu no chituike affected
mono menya behavior chetu iditamana sana ni what we believe and what we feel and the feelings are very strong. Behavioral signs ni poor self care, for example. Poor self care ukona muntu ora dressaga wega ora menyagira mutundu bwega ukona kwambiria kwerekeria ogu hataki kujua, that is a sign of stress. Not having time for things you enjoy. Mtu alikuwa anapenda kucheza games, sahi hataki games. Mtu alikuwa anapenda church, sahi hataki kwenda church. Mambo kama hayo. Not having time for the things you enjoyed, that is a sign of stress. And in the worst case scenario, relying on drugs and alcohol to cope. That is a behavioral sign. Uko na mtu lazima akunywe ndio aweze kufanya whatever they have to do. Kana drugs, that is a behavioral sign of stress. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Marithirio mwega kona tutigerie ndarike mwaki tumba kwithwa tukithiria. Ndigena tukithirikairie tu within 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Tumbe kwithwa tukimenya stress chiejari. I-conditions iri kutwithagira twina cho kana i-condition iri kumba kwithwa ukiona any the result chia stress.
All of us have stress. The difference is how we manage the stress. Whether ni marriage stress, the levels of stress no can discuss next time. Kila mtu ako nazo. But how we manage any stress influence conditions can be many. Number one is diabetes. Ukina gena stress otiko manage no gena diabetes. And like I said, diabetes can be caused by other things. Si kila mtu ako diabetic in stress, hair loss. Yeah, jewelry, especially in this jewelry gutwika, it can be a sign of stress. Ona wababa kukua na uparite can be a sign of yes, it's a sign of stress.
Okay.
And but again for uparite it can be hereditary. Heart disease can be a sign of stress. Obesity, some people this way or that way. Obesity. Sexual dysfunction. I don't know how to say that in Kimeru.
No.
Tooth and gum disease. Don't ask me the connection, but that is one of the a condition. Okay, there are gums. Ulcers. Ulcers is also a sign of stress. A stress influence condition.
Ike ya kuthwa wenu kirame goja kubwega lakini no kuona gums cia kuno china thina no ngiri ku manage stress.
Yes. Stress is not a distinct medical diagnosis and there's no single specific treatment for it. It is you to manage the stress and the conditions inu umba kushi manage.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much. Bo Raithirio mwega wa MERU TV. Na ndi ukiugo gamba stress, ngutigo kumenya stress imbi. Na ora muntu akaraya na stress na vile bija na stress. So ukiugo gamba stress, ukethokere agwa imbi yongwa ugwita stress. Na ndareka ije please ndingera toba kwithwa tukithirikiria because of our time. Kenda toba kwithwa tukigwa nteto cha MERU TV ithatu. Tubekudho tukirekirio lakini next Tuesday tuayenda na mabango joko manage stress tukoma kudho tugitega levels cha stress yani no tumenye stress cha kuchikinyita percent ku ifote
and how to manage
60 100 and how to manage na mwathani akithira gitutethia na njira inene tukithirikairia Lucy ndingiro bakudho gitwerana na tumba gukuona alafu tumagaruke.
Thank you very much. Mbitagwa Lucy Mundia. Ndi mwarimu by profession. Ndutagawira Thiina West. Naombone Thiina West kama unataka kuniona physically. Naombone thimo 0721 362543 0721 362543. Email ni lucymundia20@gmail.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boga sana marithirio mwega tu magarukienga kurombo tikitho kiumagarukani untu nyumiandarekite kuraja tuketha tukigwatanira kirinto to cha MERU TV thaa 3 kamita Gloria mwirege.